We recently talked about how a North Idaho woman named Teresa Borrenpohl was violently dragged out of a town hall in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. There was an off-duty Kootenai County sheriff and 2 or 3 other mystery men that proceeded to drag her out of her seat because she was exercising her First Amendment rights. And we talked about how this is how fascism manifests itself. You have people who are silencing dissent with violence. Because if you step out of line, if you put up ideas that are contrary to dear leaders, then you must be silenced and you must be punished. But we have an excellent update to this story that I am very happy to report. But let's go ahead and first get a look at a quick recap of what exactly happened there, and then we will discuss the turning of events and the update in this story. And if you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Chaos and confusion as a North Idaho woman was dragged from a Kootenai County Legislative Town Hall Saturday. Tanya Coppich shot this video as she sat directly behind Dr. Teresa Borrenpohl. They're part of the same Facebook group of liberal women who wanted the chance to address lawmakers.
Like, people are able to ask questions and see if their legislators are okay what's going on in Washington. Like, I thought it would be something more like that.
Instead, witnesses say dissenters to the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee's views were told to shut up. Laura Tennyson is often with Borrenpohl at these town halls.
And every single one that we've been to, we have never been able to ask a question.
She admits they were heckling in an effort to get their voices heard.
There were people all over the auditorium, booing, cheering, yelling things out, some in support.
But she says when Borrenpohl kept speaking out,
there's an opportunity for you to sound off.
Sheriff Bob Norris tried to pull her out.
So, just think about what is happening here. You have a legislative town hall where constituents are supposed to come and they're supposed to address their legislators. They're supposed to be able to have discussions and debates over what is going on at the state level or the national level. But because Teresa Borrenpohl and her group of friends there were contrary to the views held by the KCRCC, which is the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee, who are a bunch of MAGA freaks, they were targeted and violently removed because they were making noise. Even though others in the crowd, who are more in alignment with these MAGA Republican views, they were not pulled out. And it was a crazy event because Bob Norris is the Kootenai County Sheriff. He was off duty, he was not working in an official capacity, and then he passed off the altercation to 2 or 3 other dudes who would not identify themselves, who were not wearing any sort of security uniform. We did later learn that these guys were working for a private security firm known as Lear Asset Management. But as we will see in just a moment, if you're working security, private security, in the city of Coeur d'Alene, you must identify yourself as such.
More evidence. In the video, you can hear Borrenpohl ask the security guards who they are.
Who the are these men?
They had no marks on them showing that they were security.
Which, according to City Code 532, they must. In fact, police say the security company Lear Asset Management's business license was revoked because of it.
So, after the incident first happened, the initial assessment was that Teresa Borrenpohl was going to be charged with simple battery because she bit one of these unknown men during the altercation. But just think about how twisted this is, because it was actually the security agency who was actually breaking the law. And because they didn't identify themselves, and because they weren't wearing any sort of uniform that specified that they were security, how was Teresa Borrenpohl supposed to know that she wasn't just going to be put in a van somewhere and dragged out to some ranch? That is why these city codes and these laws exist. If you are working private security for an event, you need to identify yourself as such. And for Teresa Borrenpohl to be questioning them, who are these people, who are these guys, while she's being dragged out, that would have been the time that they should have identified themselves. But they did not. So now it seems like the tables are turned, and it's going to be the security firm who is actually going to lose their license, And the charges against Teresa Borrenpohl have now been dropped.
We have now learned that Teresa Borrenpohl will not be cited for allegedly biting a security officer as she was forcibly removed from Saturday's town hall. Coeur d'Alene's police department now says they have more evidence and videos to investigate. But we do know Lear Asset Management, the security company, has now lost its license. A Coeur d'Alene police spokesperson says they violated city law requiring clear uniform markings identifying them as security.
And this is exactly what should have happened. If you are not following local ordinances and you're providing private security for an event and you won't even identify yourself during an altercation, you should lose your license. And these fascist thugs to be dragging out any dissenters from a legislative town hall is just disgusting. And for the Kootenai County Sheriff to be the one who escalated this situation and spurred it on while he recorded from his phone from the aisle is absolutely disgusting. And hopefully the investigation into him will turn up something that we can all celebrate. Because I don't think any sheriff should be conducting himself in that manner. Now, lucky for us, the Coeur d'Alene Police Department, the police chief, came out and made a statement that acknowledges that we all have First Amendment rights after all, and that if we're at a public event, especially a place like a town hall, well, of course, our First Amendment rights are protected. Let me just read you a couple lines from this. Since the initial investigation, officers and detectives have continued to investigate this incident. After reviewing all new evidence and video related to the event, the city prosecuting attorney's office has moved to dismiss the citation against Borrenpohl in the interest of justice. The business license for Lear Asset Management has been revoked for violating Coeur d'Alene city ordinances regarding security agencies and agents. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department recognizes and values all rights afforded by the United States Constitution to all citizens, including the right to free speech. This is the exact response that we should expect from any police department. It doesn't matter where you are in this country. And lucky for us, that Kootenai County Sheriff, who was not within his jurisdiction, who was acting in his private capacity, is now under investigation for the role that he played at that event as well. And for the Coeur d'Alene police chief to come out and make this statement, I'm grateful for it. Even though it is something that we should expect from all of the police departments, no matter where out in the country you are, even if it is North Idaho, which is a little behind the times, to put it mildly. If we look at the city code here, it says uniforms worn by security agents must be clearly marked with the word security in letters no less than 1 inch tall on the front of the uniform and no less than 4 inches tall on the back of the uniform. Any uniform worn by security agents shall be of a design and color required by the chief of police to be easily distinguishable from the uniform of the regular police department or sheriff department. So you have a private security firm who is coming to a public event where constituents are supposed to be able to address their legislators, and they themselves are violating the law. How rich is that? I did want to show you this one clip from one of the friends that was there with Teresa Borrenpohl at the event, because I think what she has to say here is prudent. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Yes, we were disruptive. Yes, we refused to leave when they asked us to. That is not justification for physical assault on a human being. Absolutely uncalled for, absolutely inappropriate the way they treated her.
And she is exactly right about that. If you're at a town hall where you're supposed to be able to confront your legislators, your lawmakers, you're supposed to be able to address your grievances, you should not have these fascist thugs who won't even identify themselves violently dragging you out because you are one of the few dissenting voices in the crowd. This is absolutely unacceptable. This is why the First Amendment exists in the first place, because it protects not only the speech you like, but the speech that you don't like. And for them to be at a public event that was open to the public and to be carrying out this sort of violence just goes to show that these MAGA clowns are more emboldened now than ever. And because Donald Trump has pretty much given them the go-ahead to carry out violence as long as it's in the name of MAGA, this is the type of shit that we are seeing pop up in different parts of the country. And we need to be here every step of the way to stand up against it, because these people want to squash us like a bug. That is their intent. Now, luckily, in my last video, I shared a GoFundMe because Teresa Borrenpohl does intend to pursue legal challenges to this matter. I don't know in what particular form that is going to present itself, but this GoFundMe has taken off because the American people understand that what they witnessed in a small town in North Idaho was absolutely un-American. As you can see here, they've already raised over $250,000, and that number just keeps on going up every time I refresh it. And hopefully we can take these funds and fight back against these fascist thugs, because it seems like the courts are the only way that we have been able to find to hold these people accountable for their unlawful actions. So if you guys do want to support this effort, if you want to fight back against this fascism, if you want to get involved with this legal defense, I will drop a link below in the description, and you can go donate there. I would highly encourage you to do so. I think it is going to probably be a long and arduous process to hold these people accountable. But I did want to bring you this update. What we saw in North Idaho was absolutely uncalled for. It was un-American. It was antithetical to what our founders built this country to be. And we need to call out these acts of fascism every single time we see them. We need to hold these people to account. We need to shine a spotlight on these actions. Because I still believe that the majority of Americans are not down with this type of shit. The majority of Americans are good, solid people. And when they see this, they cringe, and hopefully they can use some of that resentment to start voting for Democrats down the line. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just cheers this type of stuff on. So if you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see the original coverage of the Teresa Borrenpohl story, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. It's definitely worth a watch. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.